Welcome to Ugonye on Law and Development, which is a part of the EPA program. And today we should be talking about an aspect of family law, which deals with the question of custody and access to children in the event of divorce. We chose this topic in today's session because we noticed a growing interest on the part of our DPA members as they try to understand more what happens in terms of access to children, custody of children, when parents, for some reason, decide to divorce. Of course, this is a topic that evokes tremendous emotion among all parties. In one of the shows we saw recently, a lady was lamenting that in Nigeria, it is almost always the case that the mother would lose custody and be denied access to children in the event of divorce. And our members have reacted to this topic with all sorts of concerns and sentiments. I felt it's necessary for us to explain these things from the point of view of law, to explain why things happen the way they happen, and to explain how things ought to happen and how they ought not to happen in respect of access to children. Let us make something clear from the inception. Divorce is something that may occur. Divorce is a process. It is not just about one thing, one outcome called dissolution of the marriage. Divorce is a legal process to manage a situation where a marriage has broken down irretrievably and the couple cannot remain husband and wife. Because it is a process, there are so many things involved. It's not just divorce. There are other interests. For instance, there's going to be a question about how best to protect the children. How would the parents continue to perform their parental obligations and exercise rights with the children? And there's going to be also a question about what is in the best interest of the children. The fact that father and mother can no longer remain husband and wife does not mean that they should not remain parents. In fact, they will always remain parents. So the law is interested in making sure that this couple, now no longer husband and wife, will still be able to perform their parental obligations and be able to have reasonable access to children and be in a position to raise the children to the best of their abilities. In that case, the court is going to be considering what is in the best interest of the children. The best interest test is the test. If you listen very carefully and look at various legal systems, you will hear the court saying something about the best interest of the children. It is natural that the children be protected. One, there are children that are dependent on adults. They don't have money of their own. They can't raise themselves up. They would depend on the adults. And now these adults who have been performing these tasks jointly as parents living in the same household are now moving their separate ways. So it is imperative that the law should pay close attention to what is in the best interest of the children. So let us talk about the first thing when it comes to children. The first thing is custody. Which of the two parents is going to get custody of the children? Who should the children stay with? And if the children stay with one parent, what will be the access available to the other parents? It's called visitation rights. The right of the non-custodial parent to spend time with the children and perform his obligations. Of course, when you deal with custody, you also have to deal with the issue of support. Because the parent that doesn't have custody will have to send money to the parent that has custody for the upkeep of the children. It is a very intricate process. It requires a careful examination of the facts of each case on case-by-case basis. I may not go into the details of the financial calculations that determines how much one parent gives to the other. But it is the joint responsibility of the two parents. Normally, the parent that has custody of the children is assumed to be putting in her own contribution directly for the benefit of the children. The parent that doesn't have custody is the one that has to send money to the parent that has custody. That is the issue of support. But who gets custody? That seems to be the major concern of our people. Now, since the analysis or the standard of analysis is the best interest of the children analysis, the court is going to take a close look at the question of what would be the best interest of the children. Is it in the best interest of the children for them to stay with their mother or for them to stay with their father? This is supposed to be very carefully analyzed. It's very intricate. It is not a question of who has more money. Indeed, many people thought that because usually the man has more money, the children should stay with the father. In other words, that the father should get custody because he's got better house, he's got better money, he's got all the cars and the resources, so he's in a better position to provide for the children. That is very wrong. That assumes that the children's best need is financial. No. Children have emotional needs too. And sometimes these emotional needs are greater than financial needs. Also, the law made it such that it is possible for the parent with money, more money, to transfer money to the parent with less money. Because of that possibility of child support, the movement of funds from the wealthier parent who doesn't have custody to the less wealthy parent who has custody. Because of that, a court should never say that they're giving custody to the father because the father has more money. No. The court can cause the father to transfer money. In fact, the court can actually cause the father to provide accommodation for the mother and the children. The court can also order the father to leave the home, the house, for the woman and the children. It's called use and possession for the benefit of children. That is, the court is not yet deciding the ownership of the house. The court is not deciding yet how the house should be shared. The court is just saying, leave the children in the house that they are used to. Leave them in the environment they are used to. The man should go. So, the best interest analysis will involve so many things. One, the goal of the court is to make sure that the divorce will not inflict maximum disruption in the lives of the children. In other words, the divorce may occur, but the court will take steps to minimize its effect on the children. That is essentially what best interest analysis means. So, sometimes, as is the case, or rather, as is the case in many cases, or many situations, it is the mother that is the primary caregiver to the children. She baths the children, she cooks for the children, she takes them to the pediatrician, she takes them to school, she does their homework, she reads for them, she does all these things for them, she makes sure the children are all right, she notices when they're sick, she notices when they're not sleeping, she notices when they're not feeling well. The father, on the other hand, is a wealthy businessman, and he works, makes a whole lot of money, and now when there is divorce and the issue arises, what is the best interest of the children? It is wrong to think that because the father is rich, he should have custody of the children. That's absolutely illogical. The primary caregiver of the children is their mother. If these children fall sick at night, the father may not know how to call the doctor, may not know the best pediatrician. Maybe the father has never had a meeting with the teachers of these children. Maybe the father has never done the homework of these children. So you can't say because he has money, it will be in the best interest of the children to leave them with their father, who is even hardly at home, who will end up leaving them in the care of nannies and strangers. So, perish the thought, those of you who assumed that because the father is more wealthy, the children should stay with the father. That means you are thinking that the children's greatest need is money. But even if that is the case, even if the greatest need of the children is money, the court has the power to force the father to pay child support to the mother. And with child support paid to the mother will be able to provide for these children as adequately, financially and economically, as the father would have done if they were in father's house. So if you're a lawyer or you are a parent involved in divorce, do not assume that because the father is more wealthy, he will automatically get custody of the children. In fact, I would say this to young lawyers practicing in a family law area. If you confront a situation where there's going to be a custody battle, and you know clearly that the father has got more money than the mother, you have to find a way to convince the court that it is actually in the best interest of the children for the children to stay with their mother. And what do? You begin to put together evidence. Who takes the children to the pediatrician? So be prepared to call as a witness one of the nurses in the pediatrician's office who will testify that they don't know the father, it's the mother they see. Be prepared to call the teacher of the children who will testify in the court that they've never met the father, that it is the mother that comes to ask about the children's homework. You have to call neighbors. You have to show indeed that this woman works and closes from work by 4 p.m. or 5 p.m. every day, that she's at home early. And that you notice that the man is hardly at home. He comes home midnight sometimes and goes on trips sometimes. These are the pieces of evidence, the type of evidence that a court will need to determine or to address that question or conduct that analysis, best interest analysis of the children. Do not assume that money answers the question. Indeed, it shouldn't be the case. All of you, lawyers, parents, or DPA members dealing with this subject, do not assume that the richer parent gets custody. In fact, if I go further in the analysis on this subject, I will show you that it's actually in the best interest of the children for them to stay with the poorer parent. Why? Because the poorer parent will need money from the richer parent. In the process of getting money from the richer parent, it gets the richer parent to remain involved in the lives of the children somehow. On the other hand, if you give custody to the richer parent, he can actually afford completely to ignore or not get in touch with the poorer parent, because they will say there's no need to call your mother. Your mother doesn't contribute money, doesn't do anything. She has no money, so she has no role to play. So systematically, you can actually alienate the children from their mother simply because she has their money. So a more logical thing is place the children in the custody of the poorer parent. The poorer parent needs the richer parent. If you place them in the custody of the richer parent can completely boycott the poor parent. And if you boycott any of the parents or alienate the children from any of the parents, it will ultimately hurt the children. So in the best interest analysis, you are going to find that it is in the best interest of the children for them to have access to both parents. So you ask yourself, which of the parents is more likely to boycott the other as regards care for the children? It is the richer parent. Therefore, it is in the best interest of the children for the children to be with the poorer parent, because she needs money, she gets money from the rich parent, and through that process, the rich parent remains involved. She can't afford to boycott him. It's a very important topic. It is deeper than this. I just gave you a surface of it. And DPA will continue to help our members who face challenges on the issue of custody, whether you be a man or a woman. There are also situations when the father should get custody. Don't get me wrong. All I told you is that the reason a father should get custody should not be because of wealth. If you can show evidence that the father is the primary caregiver, that the father is closer to the children, and that it's in the best interest of the children for them to be with him, father, so be it. The critical thing is that you must understand the principles of law involved, and you must understand the kind of analysis necessary to win cases of this nature. Thank you so much, and we look forward to seeing you again soon.